Auburn family, War Eagle, and what's up, your man Ike Jones? What's up? What's going on, Auburn family? Ike Jones, B. Will here.
Mhm.
Winthrop tonight, number 13 now in the polls. Auburn going up against Winthrop, third game, home game, live in the jungle. We are live and direct right here on YouTube with you all. Prize Picks pregame show. B. Will, how you feeling tonight, man?
Feeling fairly well. I'm hoping for a little better first half from Auburn. I would love to
Yeah.
see a better first half from Auburn these days, but with time, hopefully, I want to see some Chance Westry. That's what I'm really looking forward to.
Some teasers say that Chance Westry might get some playing time tonight. I guess it depends on how this game is going. Hopefully he is can work himself back into shape. But y'all know how we do on these pre-games. We're going to take a look at Prize Picks and see what's available for you. If you guys don't know, prizepicks.com is your home for daily fantasy. You can use this to get props on any sport that you want to. You see the litany of sports that are up here. But if it's your first time doing it, when you go and do your deposit, so you have to put a deposit down, you will get a 100% deposit match up to your first $100 if you use code rapport when you sign up. So if you haven't already, make sure you go to Prize Picks. As you see on here, I've already put Luka Doncic on our card. Because with Prize Picks, when you do a card, you have to have at least two players. So you have to have at least two props on there, and they have to be from at least two different teams. So I couldn't just go in and select two different Auburn players. And there's only Auburn players available on this prop. In fact, the only players that are on this thing that are available for Auburn is Wendell Green. That's it. So I can only pick. We only have one thing to choose from here on Wendell's stat line that we want to try to see if he's going to be over, under, on. And I'm leaning towards this assist number here. I think he might be able to get 4 assists. He's been on a tear from the assist standpoint. But what are your thoughts? Do you think he makes 2 threes tonight?
I it's kind of crazy if we're not scoring well and the game is too tight, the Wendell kind of takes over, which he needs to. He's got to have the ball in his hands, but he's also going to have to kind of shoot us out of it, which I know at times last year that kind of resulted in him shooting poorly, and then we're not doing much. But he was also coming off the bench. So with the starters roles, the trust of BP, it's crazy because I'm saying if I say, yeah, he's going to get more than 2 threes, it means the game's going to be tighter than I think it's supposed to be. If he's going to shoot under 2 threes, and I think he's just dishing and having fun all night, and he's probably playing a few less minutes. So,
well, here's the thing. I think it's almost certain he takes more than 2 threes. The question is he going to make more than 2?
Right.
Like he could come out there, hit his first 2 threes, and never have to take another 3-point shot the rest of the game.
Right.
The question is really about making them.
Right.
And on the percentage that we're shooting from 3 right now, it is something that I probably want to stay away from. But I almost feel like he's due, right? Like he's due for a game where he hits a couple of them. The assist number feels like more tangible number, like for him to get 4 assists because he's going to be heavily involved in the ball handling and he's been doing well on assists. Let's take a look at his assist numbers so far this season, right? Like he's hitting that number pretty consistently. So I think that's a good number to go for. He's also been our scoring leader so far this season through all of both of the first 2 games. Wendell Green has been the guy who's been putting up the most points. So I don't know. Anyway, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I do. I think I like him on the points. I'm because again, what type of game are we going to play? If it's a tighter than supposed to be game, I don't think we get that challenge from Winthrop though. I really don't. I think our defense kind of stifles them in a way we didn't stifle South Florida early. So I'm going to say under on the points, but over on the assist.
Well, we only get to do one. So which one do you want to do?
Let's do assist. Let's go over those 4.
All right. So do we want to go and try to get a third player from some other game, from an NBA game, or just rock with these 2? And
that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at now, trying to see what the games are, who's playing, who I like. I know we got those Kentucky, Michigan State matchups and the Duke, and I think it's Kansas. But the problem is I know nothing about other teams when it comes to college ball. I just don't. I mean, I will know about Kentucky as I see them play, as we're preparing to play them. But Duke, Kansas, I don't know, man. It's rough. So let me look at the league schedule and let's see what we got going on here.
Those of you who are joining us in the chat while we're having this discussion, what are your thoughts on whether or not Wendell Green will eclipse the Prize Picks prop of 15.5 points per game? points for this game, I should say. So he has to score at least 16. Or is it better to go with the 3.5 assists? So him needing to hit at least 4. Right now, we're going with the assist number. But your thoughts are welcome right down here. I see a couple of you guys in here. Stark Bice, I see you here. War Eagle to you. Don Cullen, a faithful supporter of the War Report. War Eagle to you. J Dog, I see you. War Eagle here. Cody Reddy. War Eagle to you as well. We appreciate you guys jumping in here. Wendell Green goes for 20 tonight, Cody says. He's 20 plus. He's expecting another explosion of points from Wendell. Our guy, Yo Malcolm, is in here. War Eagle to you as well. Appreciate you coming through and joining us on the pregame. We are about 25 minutes away from the tip off in I was about to say Jordan Hare Stadium, good Lord, from Neville Arena. You guys make sure that you are getting locked in right here with your boys, the War Report. We're going to watch Auburn take on Winthrop tonight on the SEC Plus. So you have to be on the app to be able to see these games early in the season against these opponents. Damian Smith says it's an easy over on the assist for Wendell tonight. He thinks he's going to continue to dish it off to players tonight. I think that's a pretty good one to go with, considering how ball dominant he's going to be.
Yeah,
sure. War Eagle agrees the assist is the safe pick. We're going to get more into conversations like this. Yo Malcolm says we got to hit free throws.
Do we?
Bless the Lord, we got to hit something that requires you to score points needs to be going in the right direction for Auburn tonight. So yeah, I agree with this one. But let's go ahead and lock up this board right quick. You want to just keep it at this because we can. 2 is all that's required, or do we want to add another NBA prop to this?
You know what? Go to the Knicks play the Jazz tonight, and I like Jalen Brunson. I really like what he brings to the Knicks. I think he goes over on. I think the over under for his points was 17. Is that right?
Let's see. It is 18.5 is his points.
It's going up. Lord, everybody done bet over the 17. All right, never mind. I don't know. See, y'all got it going up and stuff, making the same bets.
You think he gets 4 rebounds?
Brunson, he's a little hustle rabbit. Sure, he can. I don't want to be guessing though. I don't want to be guessing with the bread. Let's see. The Spurs play the Trailblazers.
Julius Randle, 9 boards tonight or less. Going against Utah. It's been a pretty good team this season.
Utah's deep though, and they got some size inside, which is why they've actually been pretty good. Ooh, you know what? Let me not be out here guessing. I'm not informed on them. The one thing I felt good about was Brunson, but let's just go with the over for Brunson. He could have a 20.9. It's not outside of his range. Let's go with the over on Brunson.
All right, we're gonna lock in Jalen Brunson with the over here. We'll do it as a flex play just to kind of hedge a little bit. But we're gonna go ahead and lock in that entry. You guys can. Says some projections have changed since we locked this in. Oh Lord, who done went up?
Is that the Brunson going up? Well, who's going up?
Let's see. Can't search it by that. Plus, I'm not on college basketball. Let's go to Auburn. Wendell still at 3.5. So that means Luka.
It should have changed right there on the right side. Is those numbers going anywhere?
Oh, yeah. Brunson did go up to 19.5.
Jesus. Yeah, let's go ahead and just click the over. Everybody thinking the same thing. God, oh.
All right. Well, we will lock in the flex on that one and see how that goes. You guys make sure you get your Prize Picks cards in as well. Let's go here to the chat, though, and talk about what we've got going on. We got a Stark Bice comment here. He says, do y'all think Wendell will lead the team this season in scoring? It's a good question here. What are your thoughts on Wendell leading the season scoring average for the Tigers this year?
The question would be who is going to be competing with him? Who is the other person most likely to be getting buckets? KD is getting the volume, but he's not making the shots. It depends on how good we're going to be. Do we have anybody on the outside to really loosen up everybody else's interior defense? Because if we get that, then I think Wendell's going to be dishing and not scoring so much. But if Chance Westry isn't that, or if Donaldson's not going to be that, if Traor's outside shot doesn't fall like that, then things could get a little tight, and then he's going to have to put up buckets. But I think if there's any chance, it's got to be Traor as he starts to come on. Maybe for the season, no, because he wouldn't come on until we get a couple months into the season, really. I think he's got a chance of hitting by January, let's say, on a per game average from January forward. I think Traor has a chance whole season. I think, it's probably going to be Wendell.
Yeah, I could see that. An interesting one here, which I think has developed to be a potential, is Flanagan.
That's
Flanagan
right.
potentially being able to score more points this season. I think he can be a mid-teens average scorer for us this year.
Hmm.
17 points per game is not out of the question. I'd say his season average is probably going to be somewhere between 14 to 16 points if I take a guess right now.
Hmm.
So it could potentially be him. The guy who I was really hoping to have a breakout year was going to be Janai Broom, but him on the busted wheel just has not been productive on the inside, and they haven't really gotten him the ball through with any consistency so far this season. But he would be my other guy that I would assume is going to be putting up points for us.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, Another great question here. Speaking of Janai Broom, is Cam says we need Janai Broom patrolling the paint today. We absolutely need to make sure that we continue. Dylan Cardwell's really been our eraser so far this season, though. He's gotten 5 blocks in both of the first 2 games this year. Winthrop does not seem to have a lot of size. They've got a few
Right.
guys that are pretty, sizable, but again, depth is going to be an issue for any team facing Auburn. So I think that he'll continue. He'll probably get 3+ blocks again tonight if he stays out of foul trouble.
Yeah, agree.
Philip Coleman jumps in and says, hopefully the chemistry is better tonight with the team. Last game, they were kind of out of sync. And when went to throw lobs or throw it to a player directly, Cardwell got beamed with 1 ball. Yeah, they did not seem to be on the same page. It was a little disappointing to watch an offense that, South Florida got a lot of credit for, their defensive prowess. Auburn was honestly just being sloppy. Like there were things that were available there, either good throws or passes that were being made that the guys weren't ready for, or it
Hmm.
was just poor attempts at passes that were open. So definitely hope the chemistry is a little bit better tonight. Kelsey Gardner asked, did we see the Taco Tuesday promo for KD over 25 points? So if you guys don't know, when you're on Prize Picks, just let's take a look at that. They usually put some sort of promotional thing on there where you can get a prop for lower than what it typically would be on Tuesdays.
Mm.
So Tuesdays, they give you a discounted prop. So normally the KD number would be at for tonight 30.5, and they took it down to 25.5. So you get an opportunity to
Oh,
get what they essentially are saying is a free prop, right? Like
cool.
you assume KD is going to score that much. So it's definitely want to look out for those on Tuesday nights with Prize Picks.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Ellis Stallnaker says that we have to shoot the 3 ball better. We just got to shoot better. Like somebody said earlier, free throws better. Ellis is saying 3-pointers better. I'm saying 2-pointers and layups better. We just got to be better. We got to score points. Like I definitely want us to be able to score from the outside, but it's disappointing when I'm watching us miss layups. It's disappointing when I'm watching us miss free throws.
Right. Now, let me ask you this, Ike, because last season we disagreed on this. We were struggling shooting the second half of the season, and I was like, hey, we know we got a sharpshooter on the bench. He's played meaningful minutes. He actually helped us shoot us out of that hole we were in at St. Louis last year, early in the season. Leor Berman can shoot the ball. He's been there. He's been on the roster, so it's not like he has to get acclimated to the offense or get conditioned or whatever as a newcomer. Does it make sense to you still to not insert Leor Berman for, I guess, the defensive cost of what it takes to put him in the lineup?
I think that's when we were having that conversation, it was about matchups for me. Like in these early games, I absolutely think that you need to try to get him rotated in there. Because likely from an athleticism standpoint, there's going to be guys who are closer to his athleticism. And then if you can get him into a groove where he can be a catch and shoot type of guy, you are going to sacrifice something on defense, but hopefully you pick that up on offense. And then by the time you get into SEC play, where the athleticism is going to equal out a little bit more, when you get into more Power 5 matchups with more of the guards that are going to be ball dominant, and he's going to have to guard a little bit better, because Bruce Pearl has not played a lot of zone yet this year. If you're not going to go to a zone, Leor Berman is, and he's a liability on defense, frankly. So if you're not going to play zone, it's going to be difficult for me to see him getting any quality minutes unless you're going to try to get him in there early and then establish him as a guy who's going to be shooting. And that way they respect him a little bit differently. So I'd like to see him maybe get a couple of plays in a few of these early games for sure. But I just don't know, again, yes, he's a better shooter, but who do you pull off of the floor is the question.
I say, even though I know he has a lot of playmaking ability, it's one thing to see KD struggle to shoot. It's another thing to see him barking at refs, committing turnovers. If he's going to give you that little, then I say swap them out. Like if the best I could say was okay, KD didn't have a great shooting night. Let's say he's like, 4 for 12, 4 for 13, something like that, which I think he's actually shot 4 for 13 this season. But he was there defensively. He was taking some charges. He was harassing ball handlers, getting rebounds, and assisting. Just still being aggressive, but passing the ball and getting some better shots for other people. Then I say leave him. I wouldn't watch too many more games of KD having an overall negative impact without at least trying Berman.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Again, if he's not going to be specifically better on defense and more under control, then he does become more of a liability, and you're not getting the issue for then becomes, you're already going to lose some minutes from KD likely when Chance Westry gets out there. And there's a comment. There's been a couple of people who've been asking about him, so let's go ahead and talk about this. We mentioned it kind of briefly earlier, but the question from Stark was, does anyone here know if Chance is playing tonight? It has been hinted that he is going to get some action tonight. So we'll see where he is as far as his health is concerned. But if Chance Westry is going to be playing, somebody's minutes is going down. Flanagan's playing well right now. So he's going to be at your off guard /3, right? So you could go with a big, this is the beauty of having larger ball handlers in the game, right? You could literally play Chance Westry at the 1, Flanagan at the 2, Jay Will at the 3. You could put Broom or Trey Ori at the 4, and then you could put the other one at the 5 and go with a very big lineup, right? You could have Wendell at the 1. You could put Chance at the 2, Flanagan at the 3, Jay Will at the 4, and Traore at the 5, and go with a small lineup. You could bump Jay Will down to the 5, right? You could go with like a really small line. I wouldn't go this small with Jay Will at the 5, but still, you get my point. Is like you have a bunch of lineups that you could go to where you could have, you're starting 2 guards on the floor with Wendell. Why is his name escaping me right now?
KD?
No, the other guard, defensive guy.
Oh, Jasper.
Yeah, Zep Jasper, right? You could go Wendell, Zep Jasper, Flanny, right, and go really small. Even if you wanted to put Flanny at the 4, even, and go like super small with Jay Will at the 5, you could play but the problem with that lineup is nobody could shoot still, right? Like if you could shoot for real, you could throw that lineup out there and just get up and down the floor, right? And Jay Will's probably your best shooter out of that lineup, which is crazy unless Chance Westry's going to shoot well. But anyway, you've got a lot of things that you can do with what we have. But anyway, my point in all of this rambling was whether or not KD's minutes immediately get absorbed by Chance Westry.
Right.
Because if Flanagan's playing well, the only people who are suspect here are going to be Zep Jasper and KD for minutes because Wendell's playing well.
Right.
You got the young guy whose name is again escaping me.
Donaldson.
Trey Donaldson's playing well, right? So you either are going to go with a defensive guy like Zep Jasper, or you're going to go with an offensive-minded guy like KD. But you get the best of both worlds with Chance. If KD's not shooting the ball well, he doesn't get the minutes. So again, unless somebody's in foul trouble, Chance Westry's taking KD's minutes. If you ask me, the way that it's shaping out right now.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, plus you have to get the young guys minutes so they can be ready for conference play. Like even if you say, okay, well, we got to work him back slowly, and really you like what KD can give you energy wise, and that when he is on, he's a net positive. But no matter what, somebody's minutes need to get eaten because you've got to get Chance the minutes. You have to. Like you've got to get Traore minutes. I don't care if Traore has a terrible game. I want all the young guys out there to take their lumps now in non-conference play and some of these big matchups we're going to have so they can be ready once we get into SEC play.
My hope for tonight, honestly, is that Janai Broom goes in there, gets a layup, and then goes and sits down for the remainder of the game. And
why?
Just because I need for him to get healthy.
Right.
Take another game off where you don't have to be there. Like, just, limit him to a few minutes and then get Traore more minutes. I mean, against Winthrop, you should be able to play Stretch, right? Stretch should be able to give you some quality minutes. Traore give you those minutes. Cardwell give you those minutes, and let Broom rest so he can get that ankle healed.
When do we go to Cancun?
That's going to be the week of Thanksgiving. So that entire week leading up to the Iron Bowl. So that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they have the 2 games in Cancun. So that's next week, week after next, coming
So
up soon.
they've got at least a few days where they don't play before that Tuesday game, right? I would think that you take them, but you
They
don't
have a
play
game
'em.
Friday, right?
Okay,
And
it's
then
Friday. Okay,
the next game that they have will be Tuesday in that Tuesday in Cancun.
okay. So yeah, I like the prospect of, hey, we're just not gonna play Broom. Like I would probably sit him Friday and let him rest until Tuesday. Like let him do what he can do today, but I don't know, man. I'm with you. I don't want to keep saying, well, yeah, Broom looks a little hobbled. Well, let's not hobble him. Like these games count, but they don't count. Like
Yeah,
we need him full strength for conference play for sure. He
exactly.
already knows what he's doing, but there still has to be some chemistry
There does, which
gained
is
with
why
him on the floor.
he needs to rest earlier, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
once we get past, week after next, the games start to become more intense, bigger matchups.
Mhm.
And that's when you really want him to be at 100%. So hopefully, like I said, tonight, he doesn't have to play a lot. You rest him for the entirety of the game Friday. You work him back in while you're in Cancun for a couple of games, and you get back here and you're ready for him to be at full strength.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
agree.
And I did. You're 100% right about that. I didn't even mention Chris Moore, right? So
We
Chris
got
Moore,
bodies.
I'm saying, so that's where, like, if Chance Westry can play some offensive basketball and get buckets. It doesn't have to be 3-pointers, but he does need to be able to hit some open jump shots. If he can
Yeah,
do that, where does KD's minutes come from? Because Chris Moore is going to give you all of the energy KD gives you with a little
mhm,
more control and a
yeah,
bigger body,
yeah,
right? And Chance Westry gives you the defense and he gives you the ball handling with a little more control, less experience, more control.
mhm,
Wendell's playing well. You know
mhm,
you're going to get defense from Zip. You know you're going to get a controlled, paced, not easily rattled freshman in Trey Donaldson coming into
mhm.
play. I
Yeah,
think that KD might be seeing his minutes slowly evaporate if he doesn't figure out how to get his offensive game back on track here.
right. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, it's the only negative, but Bruce is fiercely loyal to the players that he brings in, and that have played uh just straight up dedicated to the team. And KD's been a consummate teammate and professional as far as the game goes. So I would have thought last year that with the trouble that KD was having scoring, that they would have made some type of switch up. And at that time, again, I was stumping for Berman, but now I think there are some better options there. And I wonder if Bruce makes that change quickly. I mean, because he moved him to the bench, which was a change initially, because Wendell's starting and now KD's coming off the bench.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Do you move him to the bench and take his minutes? Do you worry about losing KD emotionally if they do that?
Yes, you definitely worry about that with him, but do you worry about him losing games for you if
Right.
he's not under control? And that's the balance that you have to like. I think I don't know what's going on with KE's shot because it just
Mhm.
hasn't been consistent at all. The first game, he had a couple of stretches where he hit a couple, and I was like, okay, here we go. KD's about to get it going. And then it
Mhm.
just never materialized into that. He didn't do anything in this last game offensively. And then he started to press too much defensively, and he was getting silly fouls.
Right.
John at the refs, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, John at coach is like, man, what you want me to do? Is like, I want you to score a bucket, bro. Like, what are we doing? Get a ball up and play good basketball.
Yeah, that's especially more concerning because we're at home. Like early in the season last year, we didn't know KD was going to be a mediocre shooter because the home crowd and the early roll. It's like him and Wendell. Wendell was hitting like 35-foot shots,
Yeah.
and we thought we had two big bucket getters in 3-point shoots on our hands. Turned out Wendell's a respectable 3-point shooter and KD's a bad one. And that hasn't changed early season, which is why I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Like if you come out of the offseason working on your shot, working on your game, working on your body, we should see improvements there. And we've seen almost none. So I'm with you. You can't leave them and let them cost us games.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to go back and look at the rotations that we had when we were in Israel to kind of see because we were at full strength in Israel. Everybody was there, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of rotations we employ now that we're starting to get back to that place. But again, I hope tonight Janai Broom gets an opportunity to rest, get him his 1,000th collegiate career point,
Mhm.
Let him sit out the rest of the game, and hopefully we won't need him. We are about 6 minutes away from tip-off in Neville Arena. Any final thoughts on this game that we haven't talked about already, man, before we get out of here?
Nah, man, I saw that Auburn was a 20-point favorite. I stayed away from this one because
Don't know how
watching
we're going
the
to score.
I don't know how we're gonna score. Now, I don't know who Winthrop is either, and that's the tough thing about these games, especially with the transfer portal, even more so than football. Two guys can completely turn around a program. So, did Winthrop lose guys or get guys? The guys they got, were they good? Were they transfer guys? Were they high school? I have no idea. It's a lot of digging to check up on the lineups of these smaller schools, so I'm staying away from it. I did bet the under 140 points though, because I can see it being maybe like a 75 to like 58 or something. You know what I'm
Well, Auburn
saying?
hasn't given up 60 points thus far to either of its first two opponents.
Right.
Winthrop is averaging just above 70 points per game, but we are holding teams below their season average thus far. I mean, it's really early to start making those types of predictions about how we're going to be defensively, but I do think
Right.
that we have the ability to limit just about any team with
Agreed.
the intensity that we play defensively and with our shot blocking still being quality.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes this game. But that's it, man. That's all we got. Make sure I didn't miss any. That's pretty much all we have here. Appreciate everybody who's been in here chatting with us. We don't typically do post games for basketball, but we might jump on the Twitter space. Our guy Auburn Memes does Twitter spaces, so stay tuned for that. We might have that later on tonight. But that's it. You guys make sure that you stay locked in with the War Report. We will be back with you guys next time for the pregame for Auburn versus Western Kentucky this Saturday. So make sure you're locked in with that. We'll see you guys later. As always, War Eagle, War Report out.
War Eagle.